I missed something that, oh, there you go. Somebody was mentioning where to park during a snow emergency.
Yeah. Dupre was saying that she's gonna ask it at the end of the meeting. So if, like, I guess if somebody doesn't have a driveway. That was a really cute idea.
Well, it was community involvement.
I like that.
So, what we do is that for Miss Lemon's class,
I was gonna write a thank you note.
yeah, if you want to end at a thank you note, if you can do that. You can give them a little. I was
That
gonna.
was a nice thing to do.
I was going to send something on letterhead too.
You're thinking alike.
That would say that. What you do is that when it gets time to it being.
Hi, Gary.
When it gets time.
Oops, I was muted. Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good.
Cold, but well.
Gosh.
Oh, my goodness.
Good.
No, we can hear them.
And you know, this really hasn't been a horrible winter.
No,
So
it
I'm
hasn't.
trying not to gripe too much because we've had some, 40-degree days in December and January.
I know. They need to come back now, though.
I was going to say this below freezing stuff can quit anytime now.
My poor little dog. It's like she won't go out,
Oh,
and it's like, okay, so one of us has to go out with her,
oh,
and then the dog's crabbing, and then we're crabbing.
oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just had to have our last one put down. Go places and travel and
Right.
and
Yeah.
that it's one of these deals.
Right. I understand. I always get my kids. It's like, well, I'm going. We're going. You get the dog. You get the cats.
Yeah, I'm the one stuck at home because of the dogs and cat. But we lost our boxer, 2 weeks ago. It's just so hard.
That's my husband grew up with boxers his entire life, and it's like our house is small for a boxer, you know.
Well,
But
I had 3 dogs. He was a rescue out of Southwest. My other one was a rescue out of Westland, and then my youngest was in a hot car at Sears parking lot after the stores closed. They left him in the car, just sitting there. So I went and broke in the car and got him.
oh,
He would have died. And I don't. It wasn't the regular animal control people that I deal with now. I don't know. I don't remember who this gentleman was. And anyway, he comes and he says, well, how'd you get the car open? And I said, probably the same way you do. But I left him a note saying, this is Reverend Tracy Dupre. I have your dog. Please call me at such and such a number so I can report you to the authorities. Because it's illegal to leave an animal like that.
right. Well, I'm sure they made that phone call.
No, right? 3 years later, still waiting.
You shouldn't talk about things that you did illegally. Dogs in Lincoln Park, that was illegal. So
It was, but I don't
don't say
anymore.
things. Okay. Don't admit. Don't
Now,
admit.
I remember when I lived here before, it was a 3-dog city.
No. Never.
I thought it was.
Never. Nope. No.
I know Taylor's
Anything else you want to confess to?
Maybe it's Taylor I'm thinking about. Yeah,
Maybe.
Because I know Taylor is 3, but
Oh, okay. Well, we've never been.
Lincoln Park used to be, but I guess not.
No. Nope.
Yeah, it's so hard to say goodbye to them.
Mm-hmm.
Really is. but
Okay, you're
they had good
getting
lives.
everyone over there?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
we'll
we-
miss her, but
Yeah. The youngest dog misses her more than, I mean, I can see him, he's still mourning. He's still mourning. It's sad.
Okay, Don, we're getting ready to go here in a second. I see that, looks like you're all set anyway. And we have 6:30, so we will call the public hearing to order at 6:30 on, wow, February 16th. All right. So this is about the CDBG fiscal year 2021/22 budget. And we have Community Development Block Grant and Parks and Recreation Director Doreen Christian here. We do, I see your name there, so at this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Doreen. Hello, Doreen.
No roll call, no pledge.
No, not for a public hearing. Unless,
Okay.
Carrie, is that different?
no, we should.
Oh,
We should.
well, I don't have that on my sheet, so I guess we will,
Okay. Use the one from the first one.
we had the pledge earlier, and we're going to be doing that in a second, so I think we're good for that. So we could have roll call then.
Sure. Councilpersons Breeding,
Yes, here.
Frey. Tracy, you're muted.
All right, here.
There she is.
Higgins,
Here.
Ross. Here. Salcido,
Here.
Tobin,
Here,
and Mayor Carnes.
I am here also. Okay, we have that down, so everybody remembers the introduction for Doreen, for Community Development Block Grant, Parks and Recreation Director. So Doreen, if you would take the helm.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate this opportunity to present the CDBG participants are wanting to participate for the 47th year of the CDBG program, which is the fiscal year 2021-2022. The purpose of the meeting is to take public comment and proposals as to how the upcoming CDBG budget should be allocated. The City of Lincoln Park is anticipating an allocation of $810,272 in Community Development Block Grant funding from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the use for this upcoming fiscal year. I am using last year's budget because the new budget has not come out as of yet, but we need to get this public hearing done so we can have all our ducks in a row for putting it up on the program on the website like we're supposed to, the draft. Of this allocation, $648,217 is available to be allocated among various eligible projects, with the cap of public service projects being $121,540. The city anticipates that as a result of its revolving loan funds for residential rehab, will have additional sum of funding for that purpose. We always allocate our residential rehab loan program as a revolving loan fund, and it goes right back into that program, so we don't have to allocate new funds to it. The same is true of our housing stock improvement program. The 5-year consolidated plan developed this year will govern the allocation of these funds. Federal regulations require that all activities funded in whole or in part with CDBG funds meet one of the following objectives. 1, they must directly benefit residents with a low to moderate income. 2, they have to prevent or eliminate a blight or slum-producing type of influence. Or 3, address a community need of particular urgency for which no other funds are available. A minimum of 70% of these funds must address objective number 1. CDBG assisted activities must comply with regulations set forth through the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Historically, the city has funded 4 basic categories of activities: public services, home improvement programs, infrastructure improvements, and administration. Public services include but are not limited to child care, health care, job training, recreation programs, education programs, public safety services, fair housing activities, services for senior citizens, services for homeless persons, drug abuse counseling and treatment, energy conservation counseling and testing. Public service activities are limited to 15% of the total program funding. The Home Improvement Program provides code-related improvements to existing homeowners. The program includes low interest rate loans and deferred loans for income qualifying households. This program, in a large part, addresses the community's affordability of housing needs. Infrastructure improvements vary on a yearly basis, but have included numerous roads, parks, and water sewer projects. With us tonight, we have agencies that have submitted proposals for funding. We will ask those present tonight to give a brief 5-minute synopsis of their proposal. But before we do, I will go over the interdepartmental request for funding. Under public services, we have the Police Department Crime Awareness, which is Neighborhood Watch and CPW, requesting $10,000. Under infrastructure, we have the DDA Commercial Building Rental Rehab Program, which will be a new program that will be starting. They're requesting $100,000. I don't see that John's here, and he asked me if he didn't make it because of his long day to tell us about his streets and utilities program. He's requesting $600,000. With the $600,000, it will be picking up the shortfall of what we need to do the Lafayette water transmission main. This would also help alleviate some of the burden to the general fund. He's also, he's requesting the $600,000 so we can get the whole program going, get the water main in the way it should be. It's a transmission line, so it is CDBG eligible because it does not go to individual houses. We also have the Police Department Code Enforcement Program requesting $12,000. And as I stated before, the residential rehab will be funded by the revolving loan program. So as I'm looking, I believe Fran from the Guidance Center, I'm not going to pronounce your last name and destroy it. So if you can explain what your proposal is, Fran, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Doreen. Hi, and hello, Mayor and council members. Thank you so much for this opportunity. As you know, the Guidance Center has been a part of Lincoln Park for the last 63 years. And we're very grateful for the opportunity to work with Lincoln Park as a block grant, as getting a block grant each year. So we are very grateful and thankful for that. As we have in the past, the Guidance Center is a mental health and substance use disorder organization. And it's been, as I'm sure with everybody, it's been a very challenging year for all of us. But our professionals, our staff has continued even through this pandemic to serve our clientele. We do have 2 sites in Lincoln Park. We have Outer Drive, and then we have the Head Start site at Electric Avenue. In last fiscal year, which almost more than half was during the pandemic, we saw 722 children and adolescents, and adults, and then we also had 139 children in the Head Start site. We also, at the Head Start site, have a family resource center, and there we have parent and child groups We have literacy events, and these are open to the public, open to our Head Start families and really any families in Lincoln Park or the surrounding areas. We do our main people are low to moderate income, and most have Medicaid. So as I said, we have been, our administration, when the pandemic hit, was very much looking at how can we as an agency continue during this pandemic. And I'm happy to report that all the areas of our agency did respond to working very differently than we have in the past. All of our children and adult behavioral health programs, prevention, juvenile justice, Kids Talk, Head Start, early childhood programs, and all of our support departments had to make significant changes. And we had to change quite quickly to telehealth in order to serve our clients across all the various programs, while still accessing facilities were greatly restricted and closed in many of the cases. Being virtual, open had been the key to our ability to support the 20,000 children and adults we serve every year, as well as the entire workforce at the Guidance Center. 97% of our behavioral health activities is currently by telephone or Zoom. Our Head Start have been using Zoom, as well as engaging children and families in a hybrid and virtual and in-person classes. We continue to modify all of our different workshops and events to support virtual events as opposed to in-person gatherings. And so I can say we're very proud that we were able to switch quickly. Our agency was able to purchase tablets, internet service for many of our clients. We were also able to get a number of grants that would support us being able to purchase tablets, and working with Comcast on their Comcast Essentials, which is the low-income, internet for low-income families. So we, again, like I say, we're very proud of that fact that we have been able to continue, even to this day. The majority of our staff do work from home, but we still have a number of programs. For instance, our Kids Talk has to be in person, and some of our other programs have to be in person. So all those precautions are taken as we see those clients too. So, we're very happy to work with the Lincoln Park and all of your low income to moderate individuals. And we hope that, I know 2021 is still going to be a little iffy, so hopefully we can move into 2022 and maybe sort of be back to normal to doing the things that we normally do. So I thank you and thank you for the grant each year.
Fran, could you explain to council what Kids Talk is? There may be some that aren't familiar with that.
Kids Talk is it's the Kids Talk Children's Advocacy Center. And what we do is we work with children that have been sexually or some kind of trauma or abuse in their life. Our staff starts, we have forensic interviewers. These are people that have been trained to talk to children that allegedly have been abused to figure out, did an abuse happen or not. We also work with protective services, with the prosecutor's office, with law enforcement, so that the child only has to do this interview once. It's taped and then given to the other agencies. The other agencies are also able to come and view the interview as it's happening. And so if they do have some specific questions through an earpiece, they can let the interviewer know what they're looking for, what kind of questions they need asked. So But also with that program is not just the interview. After the interview, we also provide mental health services for the child and the family, the non-threatening person in the family. We don't service those, but the other people in the family, they can have services as long as they need them. We also have forensic medical exam, which again is different than if you just go to the emergency room. So we have specific doctors and nurses that are trained in sexual abuse cases. So they are also able to get their physical at our facility also.
So basically,
and then we also
you
have-
do everything that you can for the victims of child
Yes,
abuse
of
and get them.
abuse.
Yes, and the reason that Kids Talk is important is that beforehand, you would have the prosecutor would talk to him, defense attorney would talk to him, and would try to make the child as being the culprit as opposed to being the victim in that case. And I just have to say that Kids Talk has done a wonderful job with that program.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate it. And I know it's very special in a lot of people's hearts. And another area of that is also our prevention program, not just to, we also want to help prevent child abuse. So we do also work in that arena. We have 2 sites. We have one in Southgate, and then we have one in Detroit. So we are the only accredited resource or advocacy center in the county, Wayne County. You can only have one in each county, and we're the one for Wayne County. So,
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Fran? Thank you for coming here and presenting as you do every year.
yeah, this is a little different this year, but
Yeah. But we do what we have to, right?
yeah, that's for sure. But thank you very much.
Okay, Doreen, do we have anyone else?
I don't see anybody else that is out there. If
Well,
we
we-
have any public comments,
Well, okay, is there, what I was seeing is that I noticed that we have Mr. Malish here. Could have him comment on, I think he has a submission here. Would that be appropriate?
yeah, that's on the $100,000 I mentioned. Yeah, that would be appropriate.
Okay, Carl, can you,
Thank you, Mayor.
not putting you on the spot,
yeah.
but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Since I've been here working with the EDC and the DDA, I've noticed that, we could use some of the CDBG program funding to start rehabilitating residential units that are particularly in the downtown. We have some multiple-story buildings, 2-story buildings. There might be 1 or 2 3-story. It appears as though they have residential units that could be developed there, or ones that exist and could use some housing rehabilitation. So I submitted a proposal, as Doreen mentioned, for $100,000 to get a program underway. We talked about what the source of funding would be, and as I understand it, Doreen has some funds that she had built into the current CDBG program that haven't been used yet for housing rehabilitation purposes. So I understand that the funding could come from that source. This is something that, from Doreen's standpoint, she thought that there had been some past experiments with such a program in the downtown. I don't have any records or anything of that nature that speaks to that, but I know that there are some units, again, in the downtown that could stand housing rehabilitation assistance. There would be a schedule put together to forgive the loans that would be provided, so that the businesses or the property owners could keep rents affordable and occupied by low, moderate income persons. That's a requirement of the program. If you're trying to keep low, moderate income clientele in the units, then you need to do something to make the housing rehab project financially feasible, and typical way to do that is to forgive the resources that are used for the rehab over a 5 to 10 year period.
Carl, we were talking about doing a low interest loan, not a deferred loan. We've never done a deferred loan for rental. It'd be low interest and over the 10-year amortization schedule. Once it's past that, then they can rent to anybody.
Okay, well, look, okay, so if we did that, then they could rent to anyone.
After 10 years.
After 10 years, yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's great. Yeah, if that works out too. There's a lot of details that we still have to negotiate and get into a memorandum of understanding, correct, Doreen?
Yeah, I was going to base it off the rental rehab we had before.
Yeah, okay, that's
good. That wasn't just the DDA area, it was the whole city. But this one's just going to be commercial DDA area, as you told me.
Yeah, correct.
Yep.
And Mayor, I checked the zoning. I know we had discussed a little bit. Is that permitted? And that is permitted in the downtown district. Residences on the second floors. Okay, that was one proposal. I also was working with a group of public service providers, Kara Hildebrandt and Ms. Wilson.
Leslie Lynch Wilson?
Yeah, pardon me?
Leslie Lynch Wilson?
No. Paula.
Oh, the Reverend Paula
Yeah,
from.
right, Reverend Paula. Well, anyway, I don't want to belabor this, but I was working with them. They, they've been working on a project to try to figure out how the different public service agencies that serve the low moderate income population in Lincoln Park could work together, just so that they could have better outreach, maybe make better referrals, keep track of who's getting assistance in one program, just to try to make sure that people aren't taking advantage of the programs and the like. Well, anyway, I submitted with that group. I helped them with the proposal, and they asked for funding to develop a strategic plan. Doreen and I talked about that a couple of times. Last week, I talked to her the last time on Tuesday. That was about a week ago. And I know she's been very busy with all this. But the bottom line is, I don't know, but it sounds to me like from the conversation with her, she was not advancing that forward in the CDBG program. And I think I might understand why, and I just would ask Doreen to clarify this or tell me if my observation is correct. I know that 20% of CDBG funding for any fiscal year can be used for planning and general admin, and I see that the allocation that you're showing in the legal ad was actually 80% of $787,520. So if that's the reason why there isn't any funding available for the strategic plan at this point in time, I think I understand that, and I would certainly agree that that is the CDBG program's ability to do if it so desires. I would, only say further that if accessing planning funds for that purpose to develop a strategic plan cannot possibly be funded because the 20% cap for admin and planning is consumed year after year for those purposes, then I think the best thing that we can do is probably put together a strategic plan as a committee, and then put forward a proposal in the next fiscal year for funding to help run the program. Does that make sense, Doreen?
Yes, as I explained to you earlier, Carl, the HUD representative said that we couldn't do the strategic planning for public service. It's an ineligible requirement at this time. But I did explain that, yes, once you get it all set up and going, if we can go through and see if we can fund the program to help run it, because it would be the public, under the public service, as long as they're a nonprofit type organization that's running it. And I'm sure they are, because of the two reverends that are in it. But according to my HUD rep, when we had discussed earlier, I had called her because I was a little bit leery on if we could do it or not. I was going to put it through, and she said, no, we could not. It's not going to go under the strategic planning under admin, because that would be doing something for a public service agency that is part of the admin. Entitlement funds for admin are strictly for the running of the CDBG program. So that would be our consolidated plan, our annual action plans, our capers, our ERRs, and things of that nature.
Okay,
like
I'll
it's
just say, Doreen, I'll just say this. I don't agree with the rep or your analysis, be that as
It's
it
not
may.
my analysis, Carl,
Excuse
it's the rep. She's been doing it for 40 years.
Excuse me. Let me finish, please. I don't agree with that, because I've done the same thing with CDBG programs in other communities. That said, I'm not about to get into an argument about it. We'll just regroup and we'll approach it next fiscal year and make our pitch to receive some funding to help with that clearinghouse activity.
I'd appreciate that, because our rep is the one who's going to monitor me. I really don't want her writing us up, because that's her feelings on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I follow her direction.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Thank you.
That's one thing we don't want to be done is written up.
No, but
Yeah,
if you had,
a legitimate violation.
Carl, if you had examples of when that was done, that would be how we could bring it into discussion, but.
Yeah, I did send citations from the regulations to Doreen that identified line and verse why it's an eligible expenditure. But if the proceeds are being essentially completely used for administration of the program and related planning, I can understand that. If I would have, yeah.
But we have to go by what our reps are telling us as far as that goes, unless we can build a case otherwise. So we have to go by what our bosses are telling us, and she in essence is our boss, right, Doreen?
Yep, that's it
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
So if we're going to counter that, we need all of our ducks in a row and to go after it. But work on it for next year. Is there anything else? Anything else, Carl?
No, but I do appreciate Doreen helping us with the downtown housing rehab program. Thank you so much, Doreen.
No problem.
All right.
Mayor, could I make just a statement, a comment, or do I not have, is this not the right time?
Well, it's a public hearing, and we got time, so I'd say go ahead.
Okay, my only problem with adding a new program, this $100,000 for the downtown rental rehabilitation proposed budget, anyway. I mean, the idea of it is very nice. However, this, I hate to designate for a new program $100,000 until we know whether it's going to work or not. And especially this time of the year when we're really in trouble with the Lafayette transmission main relocation. It's going to cost $1.5 million. And that's why John Kazoo has asked for the $600,000 to go towards that program. And so we've got to be very cautious, because this is something we have to do. We don't have a choice on this. And if we can get the bigger portion or large portion of it from CDBG funds, that's our smartest move, so we don't have to take it out of the general fund. So that's my only comment. I'm not opposed to this new program, but I think $100,000 to start a program is a little bit high until we know whether it's going to work. So that's my comment.
Well, this is just at the onset, and I mean,
Right.
if you want to have a certain amount to do what you want to do with it, it makes sense to ask for that. This isn't where the the funds are allocated or decisions
Right.
decisions are made. It's
Right.
just, this is what I'd like to have, and this is the reason why, and this is what I would do with it. But
Right.
Yeah,
And there were quite a few of the different programs that we had that they have not expended their funds. I don't know how long the money can stay there, without being spent. But I'm sure that you got another report from Doreen, and it shows how much is still outstanding. I mean, some of these go back to 2017 and 2015. So I think Mayor and Council need to look at that and tell these people they better start spending this money. Okay.
or we can reallocate it to something else. That's how
Right.
it works if
Correct.
it's not used by a certain period of time.
Very good.
All right,
Okay.
Doreen, do we have anybody? I don't see anyone else that would be making.
I just got a message from Eileen Hogan. She went to the other website and couldn't get in. So she was going to let her case known for her allocation that. But I emailed her, but I don't know if she got it or not because I picked it up on my email.
And that's for First Step.
Yeah, she couldn't get in.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody doesn't know about First Step. Mayor Carnes can tell you all about it because he's the one who kind of brought them into the city.
Well, they were
and
in
they've been nothing but helpful.
Yeah, what First Step is it's basically domestic violence, not prevention. Or if you have somebody that is a victim of domestic violence, they find out through the police department, through the reports and such, and then they intervene with them and try to make them take that, or not try to make them, but to show what the next step could be for them if they wanted to get out of that continuing pattern of abuse. And that hence the first step that they would be taking would be going to maybe even a shelter or pressing charges against their spouse or significant other in those circumstances. And through this whole program that they've came to having an office at the community policing building, to which point that the victims of domestic violence would not have to go to the police department or sit in the lobby or have the possibility of the perpetrator in this case even seeing them there. They go there. It's private, and they do a whole lot of good. And I wish that she would be here to talk about that, because she's far more eloquent than I am in these circumstances.
They do a tremendous job.
Yes, they do. I agree with that completely. But we have, Leslie, have private or public comment at this point. I didn't know if you wanted to speak. I just saw that you came on. I would take that as a no. So does anybody else have anything that they would, in reference to public hearing for CDBG? All right, then the business of the public hearing has been concluded. Then we will end the public hearing at 7:03 p.m. and see everybody in 27 minutes or so.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
Thank you for putting this together, and also thank you for those that presented.
Thank you very much.
All right, Fran, have a good day.
Yeah, you too.
Uh,